Let's meet Biscotti's softer, tender, totally delicious cousin. We call him Scotty. I've been making biscotti for years, and the original recipe came from this cookbook. But over time, I simplified it and made it my own. So, what's so great about biscotti? What a good question. It's delicious. This recipe is easy to make. You can give it as a food gift. If you were to purchase it in the grocery store, it's actually quite expensive. And this recipe makes a lot of biscotti. Okay, so that's talking about biscotti, but what is all of this about Scotty? Well, typically when I would make biscotti, I would cut off the ends and we would have those to snack on. If there were any broken pieces or if somebody wanted a treat earlier and didn't want to wait for the biscotti part, the double baked part, we would munch on that. And over time, a lot of people said, actually, I think I prefer the softer version. Now, while I obviously love biscotti, I was noticing that they were right. The Scotty pieces, they were softer, they had a more tender crumb. You didn't have to dip them in something, and they were totally delicious. Like they tasted just as good as the biscotti. So in this video, I wanted to share with you a version of biscotti, a Spumoni Scotty, that I've been working on for the past few months. You're going to start by mixing together your eggs, oil, sugar, and extracts. Once all of those are well combined, you're going to put on top of it your dry ingredients, starting with your flour, then your baking powder, and your salt. The reason I do that is so I don't have to mix them together in another bowl. I just kind of superficially mix them on top, and then they get folded in, and they mix together just fine. One less dish to wash. So when I'm mixing it, I'm scooping it from the bottom because this is a fairly dry and a stiff type of a dough, so it's not very hydrated. So you just have to make sure that you're scraping it from the bottom to get rid of any of those dry flour patches. So maybe you're asking, what makes this a Spumoni flavor biscotti? Well, Spumoni has chocolate and it has cherries and pistachio as the three main flavors that are in Spumoni. I used to live in Long Island, New York, and in Long Island there were so many Italian American restaurants, and Spumoni ice cream or different flavored desserts was really popular there, and I just loved that type of dessert. And it's really hard to find where I live now, so I was so happy to be able to recreate it here at home. Now you could add in your chocolate chips during this step, but for right now, I'm just adding in my pistachios and dried chopped cherries. When I finish making this recipe, half of it is going to be given to one of my neighbors. She can't have chocolate, so this is a way that I will make one portion of biscotti, but I'll make it two different flavors. So it's really helpful if you want a little variety, but you don't want to do two full batches. In the original recipe, it says that you take the dough and divide it in half and then roll it in saran wrap so you can form it into a log shape. Now, while that does work, I try to use less just like single use stuff. So I found that using these silicone mats that you can bake on, they work great. So that's why I'm folding it over in this mat to just help shape it. And a dough scraper does help, but you definitely could just use floured hands. The second log will have the chocolate chips in it. So I have my floured silicone baking mat again. I'm going to scrape out the dough and then just sprinkle it with the chocolate chips. And then just keep kind of folding it over on itself until I feel that the chocolate chips were evenly distributed. The Spumoni flavor combination does require the cherries and the chocolate, but also the pistachios. But I don't just mean regular pistachios. There is something called pistachio extract that's really important for that Spumoni flavor. What's funny is pistachio extract doesn't taste like pistachios, the nuts, in the same way that almond extract doesn't taste like almond, the nuts. I've been searching high and low for something that has that very distinct pistachio flavor, and I was able to find online that there was pistachio extract, but the only version of it was a concentrated pistachio extract. That's what I'm using here. And you can find it on Amazon. That's where I found it. Maybe you have another location where you can get it, but just keep in mind that some of them can be extra concentrated. So this recipe is for that type of pistachio extract. And if you can't find the pistachio, that's okay. You can substitute it for almond extract, which is very delicious. Once the logs have been formed, you're going to put it into a 375-degree oven. You're going to make sure when you're forming the logs and placing them on the mat, you want to give them enough room to spread because they do expand while baking. The biscotti's all done and it's cool for a few hours now. So we have two different versions here. One of them without chocolate, the other one with chocolate. You could take these, cut them up, and be done. That would be a Scotty. You could take them and you can slice them thin like this, and you could bake them and make it a biscotti. You can even make them a little bit thicker and bake them that way. It's just a bigger biscotti. It's up to you. But typically, most people around here, they like the softer version, so we just call it Scotty. Evidently, a biscotti means twice baked, so that's how we got the name Scotty, because it's once baked. The M pieces we call chef's treats. Those are for the chef to have. One of the things that I've been experimenting with is taking the thin biscottis or the thin Scotties and putting ice cream in them and then making a little ice cream sandwich and then putting them in the freezer, letting them freeze a day or two, and then dipping them in a chocolate coconut oil mixture. So good. It's a little ice cream sandwich. As far as texture goes, they are softer, but they're not very soft. They're just like a little bit kind of, I guess, cakey. You could still dip them in coffee, but you could see how they come apart a little bit more easily. Very yummy. They kind of taste like Stelladora cookies. Have you ever had those? They have like that same type of texture too. So sometimes if I want to make it look a little nicer, I'll drizzle it with chocolate. And I'll put some freeze-dried strawberries or raspberries on top. I've never tried freeze-dried cherries. I actually don't know if that's a thing. It seems like it would be. So then I'll just drizzle some chocolate. And then I'll let it cool down. All right, so we have some that look fancy, some that are just the plain ones, and then I'm going to cut up the chocolatey ones. All right, these ones have the chocolate chips baked in. It's still like a little bit warm, so I would let it cool more before, well, I mean, if you were eating at home, you just eat it like this. But before you package it, I would let it cool a little bit more. Nice and soft. If you try it, I hope you like it as much as we do.